Hello, everyone, to the readers of Dataquest magazine. We have another edition of Tech and Business Talk. This time we have with us Sanjib Sahoo, who's the Executive Vice President and Chief Digital Officer of Ingram Micro. Welcome, Sanjib.
Thank you so much, Sunil. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I think I'll get straight to it. So obviously, I mean, the biggest issue is the pandemic, and in a way, I mean, we are already in the post-pandemic world. We had a tough 2 years. So what do you think? What are the tech changes that have become permanent in the last couple of years, and what are the trends that will return from the pre-pandemic era, if at all anything will return?
Absolutely, Sunil. Obviously, a lot has changed post-pandemic, and during this period, we saw companies doing 10 years of transformation and digitization in 2 years. We were forced to do that. But if I isolate this into few trends and few things which are really important, I'll get into three or four things. Number one is focus on experience. Uh, every organization is trying to become an experience driven organization right now, starting from employee experience, customer experience, partner experience. So experience is driving more, and then automation is following. So before we are thinking about automation, but after pandemic, everybody realized that employee experience, customer experience is hugely important. So that has become a norm right now, a focus on experience. The second is obviously focus on data. Before pandemic, we knew there was importance of data, but to get to that experience, get to automation, there's been a huge surge of focusing on data and become data not in the sense of having data, but data as a product, data as intelligence, metrics driven decision making. So because every organization is trying to utilize and optimize, their businesses, figure their opportunity gaps, performance gaps. So data has become hugely important. Obviously, using data insights, machine learning, AI. So that's really important. Second thing. Third is security. You'd see a surge of cybersecurity. Today, everybody is accessing applications from everywhere, customers, employees. And this has put a huge focus on security. Gone are the days where you are only accessing applications from, your workspace. Now with an expanded, workforce, security and focus on security is very important. So I think that's an emerging trend post pandemic. It will keep on growing. A little more about collaboration, right? And how employees, customers, everybody's collaborating. Today, collaboration is happening hybrid, non-hybrid, more. There's no lot more focus on talent and technology, and technology-enabled talent, is actually highly valuable right now. So this fact of collaboration, with technology, business together from different locations, is more like a creating a talent cloud, and collaborating, that has become really important. So those are, I feel, the top three, four trends that I think is emerging out of the post-pandemic era.
So I think you have covered almost everything. I think, during the interview, I'd like to expand on a lot of things. But, one thing I'm fascinated about is this designation of Chief Digital Officer. I mean, we have had many CXOs, CIOs, CTO. So can you tell us something about the role of the Chief Digital Officer, which is a relatively new post? And how has the data world changed during the pandemic? And what does the future hold? You mentioned that in your introduction. Maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah, so chief digital officer, technology officer, there are so many CXOs, but I think, Sunil, what we have to really think about is, I call it the chief value officer, whereas we should focus on real value. More than 80% of these digital programs or transformations or technology transformations actually do not realize the value that it promised. And more than 70% of these digital transformations fail. So while we can have any designation we want, and we think about, tech modernization, building app, I strongly believe that shiny technology without the business value is pointless. And we really have to start with, business problem, figuring it out, what, how do you addressing those problems, and then fit technology in between. So my role as a digital officer, chief digital officer of Ingram Micro, is not just only technology. I do have a digitech group that is data, programming, product, engineering. They're treating the technology. But digital transformation never ends, right? So you're always transforming as technology is changing. So the other part of the group that I have is primarily DG Ops, where we have operation leaders who are creating value out of this digital technology, expanding P&L, EBITDA, driving organic revenue growth, digital marketing. So it's really my role is to create the digital twin of Ingram Micro, and it's not just technology, taking technology and using it to differentiate and create true value and create a new operating model, for us to, in the industry. So that is kind of the digital officer role that I'm playing. Now, to answer your question, what is this role about? Different companies, it means different in chief digital officer. It depends on what the company is trying to do, where is the position in its digital journey. But generally, irrespective of a title, every organization is trying to actually, embark on a journey to transform, and create true value. And whatever you call it, that's why I call it, it's actually the true value officer, chief value officer. Now, coming back to data, I have a chief data officer in my organization that I've hired recently. Data is one of the most essential elements of a digital transformation. We cannot really become from a traditional organization to a platform organization without data. Data is actually the oxygen, but data just by itself, it's not, good enough. So how do you aggregate data from legacy? How do you actually, create that, data mesh? How do you use data, 40 years of data to actually personalize the customer experience, take the complexity out? That's a big component of it. So uh, that's why there can be no digital journey without data. So to answer your question, in any digital journey, data forms that key element in the role. In my organization too, I have a chief data officer who actually leads this entire journey to support my digital transformation journey.
So chief value officer sounds quite an interesting proposition. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes forward. So, but you talked of like, again, in the introduction, you talked of customer experience, user experience. I think that is also has been a big trend. There's a great focus on both CX and UX. So how has customer and user experiences changed in the last few years? What have been your experiences?
I think the first of all, the customer experience have the expectation of the customer has changed a lot, right? For example, having information at the fingertips, trying to simplify processes. Today, you can actually track a pizza in a real time mode. You can actually order groceries with the click of a button. That B2C experience has actually created enormous pressure on B2B industries to actually create similar customer experience. So the customer experience today expects ease of use, really personalized experience, customized experience, like a Netflix model. Today, if a customer A is joining and a customer B is joining, we need to create that personalized experience for A versus B. Otherwise, they will lose interest because there is so much noise out there. How can we use automation in the back end to create that experience for our customers? The second is the experience has to be anywhere, anytime. It can be a web platform, it can be accessed through a micro front end, it can be accessed through Alexa or a home. There are different access points to actually get the same information. So today's experience is anywhere, anytime. It's no more just a website or just an app. You have to be, omnipresent everywhere. So that's how the experiences have changed. Lastly, I would say there has to be a correlation and syncing of your partner experience, employee experience, and customer experience. Today, employee experience actually creates customer experience, right? If you do not have the technology and understanding of our employees, then they cannot actually create a better, customer experience. So even at Ingram Micro, we focus a lot on, creating customer experience by design thinking. We actually bring, people together from different groups and try to solve problems and create that experience, and then we actually design that experience so that our customers, like it, and then we actually do A/B testing to figure out, does it work or does it not work? So all I'm trying to say is a huge focus on, customer experience, post pandemic.
There's like again, you talked about your Ingram Micro's role, and then you talked of the digital twin. That's also quite a fascinating concept. So what has been your company's role in the digital transformation and cloud enablement of your clients?
Yeah, we have been a brand behind the brands. Sunil, we have been in the business for more than about 43 years. We've enabled most of the technology brands that we see in the technology, industry. So we have been the brand behind all these technology brands, the business behind the business. Even with the cloud enablement, so we have actually launched our Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace, more than 10 years ago, and we have spent about $600 million in the foundation cloud technologies to enable the cloud success for different companies altogether. And as I said before, digital transformation is an ongoing phenomenon, right? It never ends. What we do is we actually build solutions, advanced solutions, different technologies. We customize those to our customers to bring them, those technology and solutions and that knowledge that we have to help them in their own transformation journey. So we actually, are the brand behind all this digital transformation for all these companies, that we bring together. So we have been heavily involved in that. Right now, we are also embarking our own digital journey, and twin, where our new platform X Vantage that we announced, is we are previewing is actually the digital twin of Ingram Micro, which we are launching this summer in US and Germany. And what it does is actually creates a completely new experience for our customers, for our partners, and for even our employees, and what it does is it uses that data that we had for 40 years, and creates a completely new experience, for that. That's why we call it the digital twin. It's a new way of interacting with Ingram Micro.
And finally, you also talked of collaboration. So that's also one of the hottest topic. I mean, we are at the beginning of a brand new hybrid era. So what have been your experiences in the hybrid work era? Is it here to stay, do you think?
I think definitely there are different opinions about this, Sunil. There is no right answer or wrong answer, because every company is different. Personally, I think, there is, it is there to stay. There is always a hybrid approach, but it depends on the type of skill set, the kind of work you are doing, the kind of business the organizations are. So it's really, there's no straight answer to this. There's no phenomena, so. But I think there is an option for hybrid talent that we can have to figure out, and at the end of the day, what I still come back is, if you are actually focusing on value creation, if you're productive, then you really have to figure out what's the right method. So I don't know a right answer, for this, because there is no right answer, only time will tell. But I do think there are some merits to hybrid environment, but there is also some merits to non-hybrid environment, but it only depends on the organization.
So thank you for that. I mean, yeah, even I think a lot of things are, I mean, yet to be decided. So I'll look forward to how things pan out. So maybe just one final, how do you think the next few years are going to pan out?
I think we are going to see a much more advent of experience driven organizations, where organizations from becoming just automation driven and innovation driven focus more on value and focus more on experience. I do see more use of AI, machine learning, and creating this experience in organizations. I do see more advent of adoption of cloud much more, not only just for modernization, but really true value creation and strategic differentiator for the organizations in adopting cloud, and not just go to a cloud provider for getting cloud seats. It's more about how do you strategically differentiate, with the cloud, with the customer experience. So I will end by saying these three things which I said before, right? I see companies really, really focusing on more experience. Automation will follow, efficiency will follow because of experience, much more strategic use of data. The pandemic has taught us to be much more efficient and prioritize, because you cannot do everything. You have to prioritize really how you balance. So data gives you a lot more efficiency, prioritize. Security will be much more, in the need. Every organization figure out how to be much more secured, especially with access of applications all over the world. And then really wrapping up everything in much more collaborative model and focusing on value creation. That's what I see.
Okay. So thank you very much, Sanjib, for putting such detailed views across in such a short time and very clearly. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Sunil.